How about you? All good?
Yeah, I'm good, fine. Thank you very much. So, did you talk to Orhanji yesterday?
I couldn't actually reach him.
Oh,
I don't know.
so
Is he still in here?
he's in I think
In Pristina?
Prizren,
In
Pristina
Pristina, yeah.
or
He's
Pris.
in my city because I have like
Yes,
three Kosovian numbers of him, and I reached him through three, but couldn't get him. But most probably he'll be here, and I'll be seeing him here now.
right. He may be joining.
Yeah.
He will join today.
Oh, that's great.
He told me that he will join. We have the 10 minutes more to go. The people are
Of course.
minus.
I also shared through my channels, and I also told people there were two or three journalists Roma journalists from Kosovo that wanted to join. I shared the link and everything, so we may expect them as well.
Hello, Eddie.
Hello.
Hello, hello,
Hello,
hello.
Andy. How are you? Open your video.
No, today especially I will not be on video because I'm in big sorrow. Ackovic Dragoljub, who died yesterday, and we were friends like brothers. Everybody knows that.
Right.
We did a lot of things, and I wouldn't like to show my face.
Understandable. My condolences to you and everybody actually who knew Mr. Ackovic.
Greetings from Bulgaria.
Thank you.
How are you,
Greetings back.
Zameer?
Doing good, thank you. How about you?
Thank you. Well, busy helping the Roma people in my hometown, as you know, from last
Oh,
time
that's
you
great.
visited us. You're welcome to come again, please. When
Thank
I
you.
find some time, I'll join you in Delhi and also in Bodh Gaya and so on. But maybe in the autumn. So I'm really interested in what's going on in Kosovo. So I will join the lecture, but I will unmute and unvideo myself now. But I will be at the lecture. Nice to be
Great.
present. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Great to have
Okay.
you.
Hello, sir. Now,
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
We have with us our chairperson, Ambassador Rajesh Sachdeva ji. Thank you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we still have few minutes, so just bear with us. We'll start in few minutes.
Hi, Chipian. How are you? Good to see you.
Hi, Zameer. Hi, all of you. Nice to see you again, brothers.
See you.
Greetings back.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Myself, Mohan Singh Dabas. Mohan Singh. I was in UNMIC police in Kachanik. I was station commander of Kachanik.
Oh, that's
During
so nice.
2014.
Yes.
I
know Mohsen, very good.
And at that time, only one family was there in Roma. That was Besa Muhajiri. She was our language assistant.
Besamaj, okay. The Muhajiri family, yeah, okay.
Our three sisters they are KPS. They were KPS. And that was the only family in Kachanik. That was a Roma family, and they were very friendly with all the communities. They were very good. And I also posted at Ferai, and sometime at Jilan. We used yes. So I remained there for more than 1 year. So most of the time I was at Kachanik. About 25 years ago. About 25 years ago.
Long time ago. I will actually refer to one of UNHCR references related to deportation. I mean, when Roma actually started to be deported from the European countries. And that's when I will refer to UNHCR statistics. So yes, you all did a great job, especially after the war in Kosovo. There was quite a need for international intervention, and of course, your intervention has been highly evaluated by all of us.
When for the first time, when we entered the Kachanik town from near that fort, we met a person that was just like he was looking like us same. He was father of Besa Muhajiri. We were surprised. We were surprised. How is he here? Then we came to know that he's the only Roma family, and Besa Muhajiri was our language assistant. Then she took our home, and we were very friendly after that. So many people we used to go in Ferai, in Pristina, and Gilan. We used to meet Roma people very much. Even this Skopje town, in Skopje, there on the river side, when we visited there, the Roma people, they come themselves and say, "You are Indian, you are Indian." Then they very very friendly.
They recognize the blood.
Yes, yes. That was a very nice period. I still remember that was a very nice place. Best place ever saw. Best.
Oh, that's so
Ever.
great to hear. Thank you. That's so great. Of course, I mean Kosovo is very, I mean, small place in comparison to other like countries or places. But yes, it has a variety of things to offer, and of course the diversity is quite big. So in a small place, there's lots to see and experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, very. We still remember everything there, and I'm still in touch with people. Few of the translators, they were our language assistant. They used to be with us. I still have a connection with them.
You're
Mohanji,
welcome
I
to
have a
come back.
question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mohanji,
Sir.
I have a question to you. When
Yes, sir.
you experience meeting Roma people in Kosovo or anywhere
sir.
you have been, what the other UNHCR members were saying to you, why you are affiliated to Roma?
Actually,
What
sir,
was
there was a misconception in the people that everybody was thinking that the Romas are from Iran and Egypt, but they knew they were not aware that all of them migrated from India. They went through Egypt and then went to reach this West East Europe. Then they traveled from that side via Turkey and that. So most of they were actually they were thinking that most of the people are from Egypt. They are migrated from Egypt. But slowly they were. We used to talk other people, and then they know them. Every country has a that we had countries from most of the European countries. There were people with us. That was a mixed mission. So particularly, I'm talking about that family that was very friendly with every community, every country. They were very good.
So thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Mohan Singh ji. So now we'll start the lecture. So good afternoon to our friends from Europe, and good evening to friends in India. I would request everyone to be on a mute mode. Thank you. Yeah, as you are all aware, this Antarashtriya Sahyog Parishad has been associated with the Roma community for a very long time. It has established the Center for Roma Studies and Culture Relations almost 6 years back, with the intention of reaching out to Roma brothers and sisters all across the world and to create awareness about this community in India. We had been doing a lot of activities since then, including 2 international conferences and many regular issuance of newsletter and this monthly lecture. This lecture series has been running for almost more than 3 years. Today is the 42nd lecture of this series. The objective of this lecture series is to understand the life of Roma in different parts of the world, because it is not that Romas have the same challenges and issues in all countries. It varies from countries to country. And the other thing is that, yes, the initiatives of the governments also vary from country to country. In addition, we have the lecture series on issues like culture or language in different countries of for Roma community. This has really helped everyone to be more knowledgeable about the Roma brothers and sisters across the world. I am really happy to see so many of you joining today. And today's lecture is focused on Kosovo. We all know that Yugoslavia had a large Roma community. And during the Yugoslavia period, the community had a better days. They face problem after the breakdown of Yugoslavia in different constituents of which are now separate countries of Yugoslavia, from Yugoslavia. Today's lecture, the topic is Voices and Identities, the Socio-Linguistic and Cultural Landscape of Roma in Kosovo. And the person who is presenting us is Mr. Edis Galushi. He is a PhD scholar at University of Pristina and deputy principal at International High School in Prizren. And I understand that he is the first interpreter appointed in the municipality of Prizren many years back to make the community interact with the government through for government services and for the issues which they may have to take up with the government, and also to make government people aware of Roma issues. So now I will request our research scholar, Mr. Zameer Anwar, to take the floor and introduce our speaker as well as the topic of day. Zameer, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, sir. And it is a great pleasure to welcome you all for joining us in the 42 lecture of Roma lecture series, and focusing on the theme of the voices and identities. That's very interesting, and the social, linguistic, and a cultural landscape of Roma in Kosovo. Today we have a noted speaker, Edis Galushi from Kosovo, who served as a journalist in both the media, radio, as well as the broadcasting media. And Mr. Galushi, as our chairperson pointed out, the PhD scholar at the University of Zagreb, Croatia. And beside that, the Edis wrote the various articles about the social, economic, and political life of the Roma communities in Kosovo, as well as in the southeastern European countries, which have been published in various national and international newspapers and other information outlets. It is worth mentioning his contribution to the heritage of Roma culture and literature through poetry and theatrical performances. He has been associated with the various local organizations and institutions, voluntarily organized several awareness-raising campaigns, and youth training, exhibition, workshops on a Romani cultural heritage. So today the subject for discussion attempts to get around to the socio-economic and a cultural situation of Roma community in Kosovo. That our speaker, the expert speaker, is with us. But I would like to shine some light on a historical aspect of Roma in Kosovo. As some of us know or are aware of that, the first appearance of Roma in Southeastern European countries, especially the Serbia, Macedonia, Kosovo, coincided with the Ottoman Turkish invasions, especially in the 14th and 15th centuries. Since then, the stereotypes began on their entry. And the Roma were associated with the non-Christians. They were dark-skinned, the dark-haired nomads with no fixed addresses or abodes, traveling according to their professions and seasons. And they were divided into bands, that is known as a compania in Romanis, in a Romani language, and ruled by means voivodes, the chieftain of the clan. So their caravans crisscrossed Europe. They left signs of their travel for their groups and bouquet of states and tied with the ribbons, something like that's the symbol, to mark that their appearance was in that area or in that localities. They also notched carves on the tree for their identifications. So something like that they did. And the Romani men were engaged in like professions and vocations like the donkey drivers, the bridle makers, leather workers, the blacksmith, the tinsmith, sieve and brick makers, livestock traders, animal trainers, and something like such kind of the chief and the main professions of this community in Kosovo and especially in the South Eastern European countries. The vocations Roma also very good at the musics, and they played musical instruments like lute and cymbals, with their ancestors had first picked up in India and then subsequently in Persia. So that still reflect, means this the musical different genre, which are very similar and analogous to that of India and Persia. So the first reliable source the placing Roma in Kosovo notes the presence of Roma gypsies in Prizren in 1491. Yes, 1491. Their main trade was again the same, the smithing. So their vocations that survives among them in Prizren. And there are some very old mahalla, that's the localities of Roma in Kosovo and Albania or the Serbia as well. So there's a mahala like Terzi Mahala. I don't know if still it exists or not, because that mahala was christened as the blacksmith. There were 60 blacksmith shops until a few decades ago, maybe the Yugoslavia war, the Kosovo war, 1989 or something, 1989 or 1999. Still, so these in the Prizren there is a street called also like Fatah Tarde. Fatah Tarde, that is the again symbolizes the blacksmith street. So there are also another argument. The evidences even confirm and substantiate that the Roma also served in an Ottoman army till the end of the 18th century, and it was reported that in 1737, that is a historical account. That is not something like the like the passing remarks or comments. It is a well recorded, and it was reported in 1737 by the Serbian monk who wired the sacred message to the Austrian army that Roma gypsies were at the helm of the defense of Kosovo, and they played a pivotal role and a very important role in defending Kosovo against the Habsburg armies. So that is also another, the argument, which confirms that they are not only the blacksmith or the musicians and dancers. They were also the courageous and brave soldiers who defended their country where they lived. But that was also the problem when the the Kosovo War took place, and the Albanian, especially the Albanian Kosovo, they projected the Roma community like they are siding with the Serb, and they were targeted by both the sides, the KLA, the Kosovan Liberation Army, and all. So still, I think that is not the point, because we have today the different aspect we are going to talk about, and that is the Roma is still, but in Kosovo, Roma is still to this day are not getting a normal spirit of coexistence. They are still faced with the discriminations and the prejudices and stereotypes and with the rest of the populations as a result of indifference to their situations and the prejudices and differences that are frequently met to Roma and making them feel discriminated in the Kosovo mainstream societies. Their living conditions comparing to non-Roma population in Kosovo in a very sorry figure. So the unemployment, education is still the matter of concern, the great concern. I think the Edis will shed light on that aspect as well. And I'm not going further, but I again thank you, Edis, for acceptance our invitation to deliver this lecture. And we are very much interested and riveting in listening to you. And I think that is going to benefit us to a great extent. Thank you very much. And I now request Rajesh Sachdeva sir to please proceed this lecture. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zameer, for a detailed the idea about the Roma community in Kosovo and the challenges and the problems which they face. And yes, as you mentioned, that these discrimination continues till date to some extent, though there are a lot of initiatives announced by the European Commission to for inclusion of Roma community in whole of the Europe. So let's hope that these things have effect in various parts of the Europe. So now I would request our speaker, Mr. Edis Galushi, to take floor and make presentation. Thank you, Mr. Edis.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure. Thank you for having me. And it was great actually hearing Zameer and giving all the details, which were actually slightly part of my presentation, which will actually be part of the introductory part, since we really need to have this general background of what we're talking about and the topic that we are actually going to cover. So of course, there are some other aspects that needed to be shed light on, so that we focus then later into sociolinguistic and cultural landscape. So briefly, let me just show you the content that I'll be introducing or talking about. Of course, there will be a little bit of historical context, which will start from the 14th century, as Zameer said. So in order not to go really back then, so we'll start with 14th century, with the first mention of the Romani in Kosovo, or in the Balkan region, and then I'll give you some information about demographics and distribution, about the current life of Roma in Kosovo. And then, of course, I'll have some linguistic profile of Roma and how do we preserve the language in here, and how do we use the language in Kosovo. Then I'll also speak a little bit about legal framework, how the Romani language is protected or promoted in Kosovo. And there will be a little bit of information related to education and cultural identity. And then, except language and culture, there will be a little bit of institutional and legal framework on how Romani life is organized in Kosovo. And of course, a little bit of information related to discrimination and linguistic invisibility, due to the fact that all the issues that Romani community is having burden with, of course, it all relates to the discrimination and maybe invisibility in many other aspects, but today we will speak more about the linguistic invisibility. And of course, I'll be giving a small conclusion to everything. So to start with, maybe with a brief introduction of the Roma in Kosovo. As you may all know, on February 17th, 2008, Kosovo declared its independence, ending years of maybe unresolved status since the collapse of Yugoslavia, which was mentioned before, and the Kosovo conflict in 1999. Kosovo is now fully engaged in a significant period of transition, even though this transition is actually taking quite a lot of time, since 20 and more years have passed through after the war in Kosovo. Even though the government actually worked to consolidate its independence, build democracy, and ensure stable, inclusive society. And actually, crucial to this process has been the introduction of an elaborate system of community protection, which in Kosovo, actually, our country is recognized as the multicultural country. With, if you were to see the Kosovian flag, we have the 6 stars, which actually represent all the communities that actually live in Kosovo, and therefore it's regarded as the multicultural and multilingual country, even though the official languages are Albanian and Serbian. And then other languages that are spoken in Kosovo have either a language in official use status or official languages in certain cities, depending on the percentage where the communities actually live, which will I will refer again when I speak about the status of the Romani language in 2 municipalities, and then I'll tell you what's the legal framework which actually supports this argument. So of course, with everything related to identity, it's also related to language. And with today's reality, we see how important is the study of language and identity among minority groups, because with a small region, which is actually targeted through different wars and insecurities, then all this results to reshaping of all possible identities, especially to those smaller groups just like Roma, and therefore there are lots of uncertainties that go on after each conflict or after each riot that's targeting this region. Therefore, we see it as an important aspect in order to prevent all this dispersal and maybe insecurity of the Romani in socio-cultural aspect. The study of language is very, very important. And yes, so a little bit of historical context. After the 14th century, when for the first time, more or less, the Romani context or the Romani communities has been mentioned in Kosovo or in the Balkans during the 14th, 15th century. And as mentioned before, Ottoman legacy and influence. Yes, during that period, Romani had their influence in many aspects of life, either economic, social, or even army life, and which actually led to creation of an identity of the Roma in this part of the world. So after that period, I would maybe jump straight forward to the 20th century and get a little bit to today's position without referring to every aspect of kingdoms and people that actually ruled this part. So I will continue with the last conflict that happened in Kosovo between Serbs and Albanians. Of course, during that period, Kosovo was part of Serbia, and after the ethnic conflict, Kosovo gained its independence. And yes, through all that process, Roma were the victims of all this period, and they suffered lots of displacement, insecurities, of course, lots of lives lost, families wasted and killed from both sides. Without arguing which side was more friendly to Roma. However, knowing that Roma had nothing to do with this war, it was just an ethnic war between two major ethnic groups in Kosovo, which is Serbs and Albanians. Of course, Roma were used by both parties and were manipulated in every possible aspect in order to gain their benefits. And even before the war, during the war, and after the war, it was the Roma community itself that suffered the most from all this possibility of manipulation from parties that have greater political and economic power. As we said, we will have I'll have a short reference to UNHCR reports that after the war in Kosovo, when life was regarded as secure, then there was a period of repatriation and maybe deportation from other European countries, because most of Roma fled Kosovo during due to its war. But then soon afterwards, a wave of deportation started from Western European countries, and then this was, of course, very it had a great influence to everyday Romani life, since Roma, when they left Kosovo, they left without anything or with no property, and then they had to come back again, facing the same difficulty in rebuilding their life in after war Kosovo. So with a little bit of statistics, we had a 2 years ago we had census. So It is estimated that as per Kosovo Statistics Agency, in Kosovo, there are 2.24% of Roma inhabitants, which is 35,000 roughly in all. And in Kosovo, we have this specific or concrete overlap between what do we actually mean. Oh, sorry. So I'll do the full screen. Sorry. I saw the message, right? Okay. So this is maybe better now. So after the war of Kosovo, we have this overlap of communities, and who do we regard as Roma or non-Roma, and then we have this arrival of two subgroups of meta groups that are actually regarded under the umbrella of Roma, which is Ashkali and Egyptians. There are many scholars that actually consider all these subgroups and metagroups that actually appeared after the war or were mentioned in a certain period as group of Roma umbrella. However, of course, there are disagreements within these subgroups that they do not belong to the general Roma identity, due to the fact that they didn't want to have this image of being a cooperator of a certain political side. And therefore, the arrival or when the Ashkali and Egyptian community arose, it was more seen as a community that is more friendly to, or a community that has been Albanized and that is culturally and linguistically more close to the Albanian side, even though there are disagreements within themselves, within Ashkali and Egyptians. Ashkali actually do not agree with Egyptians that they are Egyptians because they consider them as part of their group, and then Egyptians accuse Ashkalis that they are actually part of their group. So all in all, lots of scholars have done lots of research in this, and they see that the outside society regard them with the pejorative name, which is gypsy, or in our local languages, they have different names related to gypsies, and they all put them into a single basket. And even in daily social life, both Roma, Ashkali, and Egyptians have great ties, both cultural and family ties. And they're also seen to correlate greatly within. However, there has been this political aspect that has put quite a division within, even though, yes, socially they're seen as the same community. However, legally, after Kosovo's independence, they have been recognized as three distinct communities in Kosovo. A little bit of linguistic profile of Roma in Kosovo. Yes, the dominant Romani dialects, Gurbet, Arli, and Bugurji, which is on the upper part of Kosovo, is more Gurbet and Bugurji. On the lower part of Kosovo, we have more Arli. One specific aspect related to Roma in Kosovo is that, yes, we are trilingual, because unfortunately we do not have our official or our formal education in Romani, and therefore we have to go to school in other languages that we choose. Kosovo offers education in different languages, fortunately, and therefore you can find Roma speaking Albanian, Serbian, and Turkish, of course, and Bosnian within. And then with this aspect of having formal education in a non-Roma language, the inheritance of Romani has remained only through domestic inheritance, either through informal discussions with family members and people of a certain level. Therefore, the inheritance of Romani has lost its pave due to the formal education that is not available in Roma language in Kosovo. There is a fortunate situation in Prizren, which we all actually have a elective subject as Romani language and culture in only one primary school. However, that's not sufficient in order to really inherit and promote Romani language to a level that the community would want to. So on a legal framework, yes, its status is non-official, often used informally in either trainings or meetings that have informal setting. In Gračanic, which is a municipality on the upper part of Kosovo, some years ago, Roma has gained its official use. I mean, its status as a language, as an official language, due to the fact that in Gračanic there are 5% and above of Roma living in that municipality, and the Kosovo legal framework actually supports a language if in a certain municipality there is 5% and above from that community in that certain language. Therefore, in Gračanica, this language has gained its status as an official language. However, we have lots of difficulties in implementation since there is no specific budgeting and there is no employment of the Romani translation in that municipality. 2 years ago in Prizren, Romani language has gained status as a language in official use, which makes it in a lower level than of a language of an official language. So in Prizren we have 3% of Roma, and therefore it has gained the status of an official use, meaning it will not be included in legal documents. However, if citizens want to address municipality officials or the local governmental institutions, they are free to do that in their own language. As I mentioned before, so the domains of use, it's usually family, community, and informal networks. Unfortunately, we struggle in inheriting in a more formal setting our language. And with formal education being mainly in Albanian and Serbian, we do have code switching and borrowings, which we day by day see even in a higher level in our Romani language, and therefore it comes as a risk of younger generation trying to and seeing the possibility of using less and less Romani due to its borrowing and influences that actually has gotten from all those major languages where Romani community are actually educating themselves. As said, yes, we do have Albanian and Serbian education, and another important aspect is that we do not have a standardized Romani curricula, which Romani has actually a substandard introduced by either journalists or people that deal with languages in Kosovo, and there is an unofficial use of such official Romani language. However, we lack this standardized curricula, which can be used either in teaching or in media outlets, right? And with the last aspect related to education, of course, we do face with discrimination, segregation, and lack of qualified teachers in both treating Romani students as decent as possible, but on the other hand, also well-qualified personnel that would know the internal value of the Romani community of wherever they live. And therefore, we also have this discrimination portrayed in books and in other resources that are used in formal education, of course, which has been reported by lots of community stakeholders, and the government is actually looking forward to improve all these issues. There have been cases with straightforward segregation of Romani classrooms in certain cities. However, with our straightforward intervention, those classes were dissolved, and now we don't have like purely segregated Romani classrooms. However, children and students are still facing with non-equal treatment in educational level. Yes. some of the elements that we share and that actually that Romani have Roma from Kosovo have given to the general public is, of course, music and oral tradition and seasonal festivals. Even though during a later period, lots of musical influences have been regarded only for Roma. However, with this aspect of modernization and also social interactions, Roma have made their influence into the general public culture. And today we can see a general mixture and cooperation with Roma and general public, either through music or any cultural aspects that Roma in Kosovo do have. There are some traditions that, due to religious influence, unfortunately have lost their rituals. For example, one of the most known celebration, the Saint George Hederlezi, has lost lots of rituals due to discrepancy of religious preachings with what people do as rituals in those days. Therefore, with the influence of Islam and Christian learnings, lots of traditional rituals of Roma from Kosovo have unfortunately been lost. And even though they're still being inherited and maybe transferred from person to person, only through storytellings and oral tradition of our elderly, even though the younger and the modern generation doesn't really know of ancient Romani cultural rituals that have been preserved through the years. Now let's speak a little bit about legal framework of Kosovo, since it's the youngest country in the Balkans. Of course, legally, Roma is recognized as a community, and it has its constitutional rights, and all legal aspect is well regulated, and maybe most of the times even applauded by lots of regional countries when seeing the legal framework of minority protection in Kosovo. However, there is a great lack of implementation of such legal framework, and in this general attitude in having a better integration of Roma, Ashkali, and Egyptians in Kosovian society. Throughout the years, there has been a specific strategy that has been attached to legal documents in order to better integrate all these communities. However, even with that strategy, we are still facing decent and proper focus in order to implement everything what has been written on the paper, which comes as a lack of low political willingness in order to do that, and also on the other hand, lack of budgetary support in order to implement all the 5 pillars that are actually mentioned in that integration strategy of Roma, Ashkali, and Egyptian communities in Kosovo. As mentioned before, yes, the discrimination and linguistic invisibility has been seen either in books or in media representation, even though in Kosovo, yes, we do have a public broadcaster that has daily news in Romani language, and it's a weekly program. However, as a general picture or general representation of Roma in Kosovo, we do face with lots of stigmatization of the Romani language and low representation in many aspects, also relating it to policy making. This can be seen as a two-side problem. Either the Romani representatives are not raising their voice hard enough in order for our voices to be heard, or there is also low willingness of cooperation from the majority side in order to really tackle the problems of Roma and have them integrated in society. As you can see, yes, in Kosovo, there is lots of things going on, and the community itself is resilient, even though we do face lots of systematic challenges. And I can say that maybe the civil society is maybe the one that really pushes hard in order to have this socially deserved status of both Roma as a community, but also Romani as a language and culture. And one of the most important aspects is that our integration, yes, it requires institutional support and recognition, which most of the times, especially civil society organization or people, do see this lack of domestic integration of all the aspects that are related to Romani integration. Most of the times, the integration and the support of Romani projects and improvement of Romani life in Kosovo is done usually by international donors. Therefore, this institutional support, domestic or national institutional support, is crucial. And is considered crucial by the community in order to have a decent integration and a decent representation of a Roma community, both in economical, political, or cultural life. So yeah, more or less have gone through some historical, linguistic, and social aspects of Roma, and tried to give some legal representation of Roma in Kosovo. I know that my presentation has been superficial, so I'm here for details, and whatever you think you need more information, I'll be more than delighted to provide here through our discussion, or please feel free to contact me via the details that you see, and I'll be more than pleased to share everything I know with you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edis, for an excellent presentation covering almost all aspects of a normal life of Roma in Kosovo. So I was just wondering, like in Kosovo, do Roma have a political presence in the parliament or in the political parties or in the state or municipality level?
Yes. So as said, after the independence of Kosovo, I mentioned once again that legally it's applauded by many regional countries, and in the parliament, a Roma community is represented. If you have the same regard of who is considered Roma, then you can see they're represented by 4 MPs, because we have Roma, Ashkali, and Egyptian in the parliament. And then the 4th is whoever gains the highest votes from the elections gets the 4th place as well. So the 4th person can be either Ashkali, Egyptian, or a Roma, and these 4 seats are reserved. Meaning after the election, there must be 1 Roma, 1 Ashkali, and 1 Egyptian MP in the parliament on the national level. And the 4th one, the 4th reserved seat, gets to be taken by the political party that has gained the highest votes. As from Kosovo's independence, the 4th MP was 2 times Ashkali, 1 time Roma, and for the moment, the 4th one is Egyptian. So with the current formation of the Kosovian parliament, we have 2 Egyptians, 1 Roma, and 1 Ashkali in the Kosovo parliament.
But do you have a political party of your own, or they come from the...
No, I'm not into those aspects. We have 3, 4, 5 political parties in Kosovo. 3 come from Prizren, from the city that I live, and 2 come from the upper part of Kosovo. There was on the last government, there were, when I said that there were 2 Roma representatives, one was represented by a party called Romani Iniziativa, which unfortunately did never appear in the parliament due to its close ties with the Serbian political party, which actually boycotted the participation in the Kosovian parliament, and therefore that party did never appear in the Kosovo parliament, even though it was a historical moment for us for the first time to have two Roma MPs representing a Roma community. However, the MP from that political party did not appear at all in the parliament. And from last government, we had my cousin representing a Roma community, and he was the MP in the Kosovo parliament for 4 years. And now we have another party that is representing the Romani community. It's not the same party of my cousin. So yes, we do have Roma representation in parliament and in some local levels, especially in Gračanica, where there is like 5% and above of the Romani community living in that municipality.
Yeah, thank you. The floor is open for questions, comments, or any views. Yeah, so I see the hand of Miss Deema. So Miss Deema, the floor is yours.
Yes, hello. Thank you to Mr. Edis. I want to ask you a question. I have been traveling in Pristina. Then I took the bus, and after 1 hour and a half or 2 hours, I traveled to Tirana. So for me, those two countries are very close, very small. Do you think that Roma people really feel concerned with those borders and the difference between Albania and Kosovo?
There is this general concern. I'm more focused into the flow of Roma community when mentioning these two countries or these two cities, right? So there is this general concern of the Roma people from Kosovo and from Albania when having this misinterpretation or maybe lower economical life standard of Roma in Albania. So with them seeing a greater possibility or maybe a more open approach towards Roma community after these borders were easier to circulate, then we have this immense travel of Roma from Albania to Kosovo in order to either coexist or to do some job, which also relates to begging and other aspects. So it is a close environment. However, I do not think that we share the same economical and maybe political position with Roma from Albania. In some aspect, I think that Roma life is more fortunate in Kosovo rather than in Albania.
Can I ask?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, Zameer, please.
Thank you very much. It is there has been a political movement in Kosovo to amalgamate and blend the Ashkali and Egyptians and Roma community to increase the number for the political expediency, for the political benefit. So that, do you think that that is leading to the loss of ethnic Romani culture, or is it socially, economically advantageous for the Roma community as a whole? Because I find that's a lot of because of this amalgamations and a mix up. There is a cultural tension, a cultural conflict between these communities. Though some scholars, some so-called scholars, they try to paint all these three minorities into same picture in a one color. Though that has been refuted scientifically, they have a different origin, and the Roma and Gypsies, Roma have a different origin. They are from India, right? Especially from the northern India. That is the but some scholars, like even the Marcel Cothiare in Albania, that's the same problem in Albania as well. So the Copti and the Ashkali and Egyptians, and they are trying to be some political activists and the cultural activists. They are trying to mix up these communities. So though there are some similarities, like the coincidental similarities, like the socioeconomic situation is the same, almost the parallel, and their nomadism. These are the some 2 and 3, the similarities and analogies which are the scholars draw in order to project them as a one. And so what is your what do you think that the such kind of amalgamations that the first leading to the loss of the ethnic Romani culture, as well as the social deprivation can be exacerbated or worsened because of this such kind of arbitrary mixture or arbitrary blending with the community?
Quite diverse question with lots of answers in between that cannot be answered in a single conference. Maybe it really needs to be dissolved in many aspects if we were to talk about or to tackle this issue. I would mention maybe 2 things. One thing is a low consciousness of belonging makes all these 3 groups, subgroups, call it as you wish, more fragile in misusing or misinterpreting whatever is related to those 3 communities. So with them being aware on a lower scale than the majority of communities, due to formal education, due to many cultural interferences that infer in proper inheritance of what are the cultural values of these communities, actually make the members of these communities more fragile and more available for manipulation from any aspect, whichever you want to take from these communities, in order to have them even more mixed in their head. What do they belong to and what do they actually really represent? So with all this fragility in mind, I think it's very easy to make the community even more confused in what is their real culture and what is the real tie between these 2. On the other hand, we have this modernization that we call, which if you are seen that you are inheriting or either representing something authentic and coming from old ages, you are being targeted as someone who is very backward and not belonging to the modern society. And therefore, this puts kind of the youngsters, especially of these communities, in a more reserved status, in order to really speak up publicly about the values that all these 3 communities actually deploy. So therefore, as I said, it's very it's very mixed up in its own, but it all comes from all this historical misinterpretation and historical and historical intervention of the entire integration of all these communities in the Balkan regions that actually leaves this community in a more stalemate, that actually they cannot really raise their voice and have their proper integration or proper representation as we would really want to see. If I could really respond to your question and sum it up in a way that I could.
Thank you. So now I see the hand of Miss Mevlana. Miss Mevlana, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello. Thank you. I'm very glad to be with all of you. I'm Mevlana. I was born in Kosovo, in Kosovska Mitrovica. We have the famous place Fabrička ulica. So we left the country with my family after the war, and we come here in France. So I'm grow up here. Also, if I was born in Kosovska Mitrovica. So I will not do all my biography, but I will very glad to speak with you all. I will share with you my card ID after. So I have a question. I mean, 2 questions in one. It's one question in, yeah. So you mentioned the discrimination suffered by Roma. We'll also discussing the lack of integration. So what is your basis for this analysis, and what is the government actually doing to address this? Thank you.
As after the war, of course, there have been lots of organizations. Maybe I didn't even share my references when I talked about my presentation. So there were international organizations and also local organizations. For example, Roma Documentation Center that actually tackled all these issues of Roma leaving Kosovo and the reasons why and how their documentation actually led. Just let me share this so that you actually see the basis of my presentation. And when having all this position that these communities or minorities were sort of teetering on a brink, there were lots of international and national agencies that actually did some research and saw that discrimination towards Roma happens, and especially with people that fled, there were the major problem was lack of documentation, which even today they cannot prove that the property that they had here belongs to them in order to regain it and in order to start their life as best as possible. So this was seen as one of the major problems, but also the discrimination that happened after the war, with lots of tents and camps that were set, temporary camps that were set for Roma, for those that actually lacked proper housing, were put in a contaminated area. And then lots of Roma were actually contaminated, and no one actually got to see it. Why Roma people are actually starting to die in a younger age, and this was due to a lack of decent treatment of such politically fragile community in after war Kosovo. So as I said, after a certain period of time, now these voices started to raise. However, there has been a great discrimination and a great segregation of Roma in Kosovo, which day by day, fortunately, also from Romani organizations, these things are being seen and reported, and all of them actually advocate for a better representation of Roma.
Yeah, thank you. Now I see again Miss Dema, the floor is yours.
Yes, Mr. Edis, I had a question. When Marcel Courtia died 2 years ago, he left 5,000 documents about Roma in Yugoslavia, because it was a document from long time ago. So we were very concerned to make sure that no one is going to throw away all these documents. We had to make sure. I was talking to his daughter, and she didn't know what to do with all these documents. But now INALCO think that they took a few of them, or a lot of them. So I was wondering if all these important historic documents about the Roma of Yugoslavia and about Kosovo and Albania should be better maybe in your place, I mean, in Kosovo and Albania, than in Paris, because I don't know if many people are using them today. This is my question about all these 5,000 documents.
Well, generally speaking, Kosovo and Albania are really lagging behind with research and many aspects, right? So even if I were to refer to the general research attitude towards any possible subject, we're really quite backwards from in comparison to other surrounding countries. So I don't know whether to say it's a good or a bad idea if we were to have all those documents, because I know that in Kosovo and in Albania, I don't think people will be interested in prolonging or using those documents in doing research, knowing the culture of research of the countries that I'm speaking about. So I think it will be more useful if more progressive countries have those documents, knowing their research history and research attitude towards science. So I really cannot say whether it's a good idea or a bad idea bringing those documents here, even though, yes, if we were to compare with numbers, we do have a higher number of scholars, both from communities, but also from these two countries from non-communities members. However, I really doubt, knowing that, for example, in the field that I study, which is in glottodidactics, we really have lots of gaps that have remained through years. And comparing it with, for example, Croatia or any other countries, they've done lots of research about many things. And in Kosovo, we're really lagging behind in this research world. Therefore, I don't know if they were to be brought here, whether they will be used one day or not.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Now I see the Mr. Costache, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, all of you. I want to say, first of all, betraying the sender del Sastinospa, Edos Yexor or Kaisam. Thank you, sir, for the invitation to this conference, this lecture. I want to put a question to Edis, because I heard I participate in any of the lecture that Zameer organized, and I want to thank him and to thank him for these wonderful lectures. And my conclusion is, all over the European, Roma people are beggars, are stealers, are their language are not very influent in their countries. In your point of view, what could be the solution in Kosovo? Because I know it was it was a war with big problems. In your point of view, what you think is the solution for the Roma people in Kosovo?
If I understood right, your question related to borrowed words or words that are influenced in Romani language, and what's the solution of better preserving it? If I understood the question.
Not the Roma language, only the Roma language, but the resolution, to resolve the Roma people in Kosovo. In your point of view, what will be the solutions?
Okay, great. Now I got it. So in general life, right? If you were to see, we're in a very favorable position in having representation in many levels now. As I said, politically and legally, the life of minorities in Kosovo is well organized. However, what I think we're lacking is a right representation or a right usage of those favorable positions that we have. Unfortunately, such important positions, we get to have either people who do not maybe have the right knowledge of representing or defending the interests of Roma, or on the other hand, we have these positions as manipulated positions. So with those positions being manipulated, then the real power of that position cannot be used. You are either an MP that only responds to the interests of one of a major parties, and then you get to have like really small interest, which most of the times gets more individual interest rather than community interest. This manipulation also comes from a low low political awareness, because unfortunately not many Roma community members know how to do politics, and their highly political situation or positions get to be manipulated very easily. So with this in mind, I think the best way of resolving or having a better representation or improvement of Roma life in Kosovo is to have powerful Roma representatives in places where Roma situation is discussed. Unfortunately, throughout the time, we saw that in all those powerful and important places, we never had well-informed or well-equipped Roma representatives in order to really defend the Roma interests in Kosovo.
I have the last question, if you allow, sir.
Sure.
Okay, okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a very brief and a precise question to you, Edis, because as Sahiti also mentioned about the Kosovo War 1998 and 1999. So the Roma community, the people of Roma community still, await justice. And even though, as you mentioned, that there was a lack of evidence to persecute the perpetrators, as the very conspicuous that the KLA members, the Kosovo Liberation Army members, they were engaged in perpetrating and committing such a heinous crime against the community, and they are still unpunished, even though there was that those evidences have been presented in the Hague, and well, and I find that the Kosovo specialist, the chambers, and a specialist prosecutor office also presented that evidences in the Hague. But still, that everybody knows that Hasi, means the head of the KLA at the time. He was complicit in perpetrating such crime. And still, the people are waiting. That's a lot of people, a lot of Roma from Kosovo. They settled in Austria and France. Even Naziri is also with us today. His house was also demolished, and they fled the war. And so that grudges, Roma still have grudges against these heinous and gory crimes committed against them in the name of siding with the Serb or something like that. So what do you think, where this persecution, where this means this stands at the present time? Is there any kind of possibility to bring those culprits and perpetrators and accused to the book, or they will go unpunished, they will go scot-free, and because of the political aggrandizement, and they are somehow indirectly involved in the political setup in Kosovo right now?
Again, quite a broad question that will maybe put me into a more reserved place in how to approach this question, because first of all, it's very political and it's very sensitive in order for me to really speak in a sense that I would justify the rightist party or the rightist person in this narrative. However, what I will be seeing or what I will be saying is only from my personal view, without any deep knowledge about the aspect or of the topic. First of all, we should clarify that the war in Kosovo was an ethnic war, right? So it wasn't like a country between country, but it was ethnicity against ethnicity. So the major ethnicities, Serbs and Albanians, started to fight against one another in gaining a portion of land. And knowing that historically, Roma are first of all, they never took place in such acts of vandalism to either have this, how can I say, broad voice of getting the power of inheriting a certain portion of land. They were only the victims in every possible war, especially of the last period, whatever happened in the Balkans. So, right? So, if we were to have this portion clear, then you could understand how easily is the manipulation of such a community that actually never had an army, that never had an approach in owning a land. Our main concern was to have our family safe and have something to ensure our life. So this is the general attitude of a Romani family. So our greater property is family, right? There is no such an approach of having organized state, organized country, organized army, and occupy a land, right? So our deepest concern is the family and the welfare and the well-being of life, daily life, right? Nothing beyond that. Which, is it a good or a bad approach? I don't know. But through the history, we saw that that's the Roma approach or attitude. And then with Kosovo being very diverse and very mixed with ethnicities, it is, of course, that the easiest to be manipulated and targeted were the Roma because of lower level of education, low economical power, and, of course, a zero political power. So these major parties both interfered and used Roma for their own benefits. So if you were to tell Roma, do this, if you don't do it, I will get your son or your daughter and kill him, her, a Roma member would do it. Huh? Because, as I said, the greater value that we have is the family. If you were to tell to these two bigger powers whose intention is to take a land, if you were to threaten them, do this, either I'll kill your son or your daughter, they would say, do it. I'll sacrifice because of the land. And Roma never had such an attitude, right? So we never wanted the land. We only wanted to live on a land, but not to own a land. And with Kosovo being all the time, as ever since its existence, like being as table tennis through these two bigger parties, Serbs always spoke about Great Serbia, Albanians always spoke about Great Albania, and then even there were interference from Macedonians being like part of this, and everybody wanted this place. And if you have such a fragile community within, of course you can manipulate in every possible way. And then if a certain neighborhood, let's speak about maybe in the terms of neighborhoods only, because that's how we organize our life. That's how we own the property or the land. When we have one or two family members, then we organize other community members, and that's how we create our neighborhoods. So if a certain neighborhood did something good, or let's say cooperated with a certain power, let's in this case be Serbian power, then automatically all other neighborhoods were judged that, they actually cooperate with Serbian political power. Then this, you could historically see this prejudice towards Roma is easily dispersed without critical analysis of what the real situation is, because everybody is allowed to comment or to analyze or to disperse information related to Roma as free as possible, because they don't have resistance from the Roma community. They don't have political resistance. They don't have any type of resistance when speaking or when deploying an image about Roma. So with all this in mind, of course, two parties played with Roma as they wanted, right? And there are some families, if I were to take, for example, my family, And like some days ago, I told my dad, like, if I were in your place, I would just flee Kosovo. He said, why? I said, but I don't know. You know, we were all the time targeted by both people. For example, during when Albanians fled Kosovo, there were Serbian people. I can't judge now whether they were army or whatever. They came and they took all the adult Roma from the neighborhoods and took them away in order to do some physical work for them. So now, can you resist that? No. You'll say, okay, I'll do it. Just keep my family safe. No? And all the children and wives were safe. Only the adult Roma went away. And then when Albanians came, of course, all the Roma that actually were in neighborhoods, they had to go through some physical violence because of this general image, because you cooperated with the power that was here while we were not here. So you were their cooperators. And no one actually approached this with critical eye, saying that, but they were unable to resist because they didn't have any possible power to resist. They had to do in order to protect only the family life or the family members. So with all these powers being in between, and also this war resistance between two greatest political powers was organized through regions. So if in a certain Albanian controlled region there were Roma families, they were ready to even cut ties with their families from the regions that were controlled by Serbs, just in order not to be affiliated with them. And therefore, it comes now the issue of more Albanized or more Serbianized Roma, right? And there is a smaller community of Roma that were neutral. They were like, okay, listen, we saw really bad days from both of you, and we remained Roma and didn't affiliate with no one. For example, I'm very happy that my family did so, even though we were perpetrated or mistreated by both parties. I'm not making like positive of any side. However, when we started to get socially aware of a political life, our family members were aware that siding with any ethnical power in a war that is ethnic, it's not country-based war. If it were country against country, it would be easier for you to side and say, yes, I want to defend my country and I want to fight for my country. However, knowing that this was an ethnic war, our families were very aware and made us live this neutral life without siding to any side. Of course, there were and there is a very big number of Roma that thought that they will be endangered now because of this general attitude that Roma were cooperators, are either from Albanian side or Serbian side, and they fled Kosovo without any straightforward or direct threat from any party. They just felt scared and they left, which, as I said, if I were to in my dad's place, I would maybe do the same because I would feel insecure. So you know, you face such narratives from Roma families all over the place. Some fled just because of this expectation that they will be harmed. They just fled. Some resisted, and whenever they had some consequences, either their houses were burnt down or their family members were killed, that information just ran through other Roma neighborhoods, and they also thought that it will be done the same to them as well, either from Serbs or from Albanians, and that's how the decision of leaving everything and going out came out. And of course, there were some regions during the war that were more calm, just like the region of Prizren, that we didn't have many consequences and maybe attacks from both sides, because Prizren, fortunately, was always known as multicultural and multilingual city. And therefore, this disbursement or displacement of Roma from Prizren was on a lower level in comparison to other cities. You see what you asked? It's quite broad, but I really tried to summarize. Still, again, referring to my own way of how I see things without any deeper analysis.
So thank you very much, Mr. Edis, for a wonderful presentation.
My pleasure.
And we are really happy that you responded to all the comments and questions and gave your view in a clear terms, which makes us understand the situation in Kosovo, even at those difficult times when the Romas were being blamed by either side for their support to one of the ethnic groups. But we are happy that to learn that in Kosovo, the things for Roma communities are better as compared to many other countries in that region. There is a good political presentation and there are systems in place to make Roma acceptable in the mainstream society. Thank you very much for the presentation. I see Mr. Nezri's, Mr. Nezri,
Yes.
the floor is yours.
Yes. Na shunav të qaj o mikrofoni samo te të hares. Ska kana dikau kaj i një hramingja. Shaj te të hare o mikrofoni.
Shaj qëre translacja.
A
Shaj
kana.
këtu ke sanë të noqevo. Shaj kone qëro francuski të si kanë e sërbikania romane translacja për engleski shqip.
Va shaj.
Me vlana shaj tu, një i Lila, tu peux parler, non? Non, qëno Edis, Edis, tu ka qëre.
Va shaj ka kira.
Tu sanë të noqevo për qavë një gjatë këbor versatu kënë sa maripi.
Me simaj desh yek bersh. He's asking how old was I when there was war, and I'm telling that I was 10, 11.
Po, tu që danë që përitacija la qesë, që si normal me familja Galushi se kanë qavera, në prizeren, ali situacija romeđe ne vlisa isto na Kosovo, kuva Turđane. Problemi si i buqisi ke problemi romego na vlo njëvështë në të beshu. Problemi romenca sasa još deshtu shufan bish ma janë valder.
Mr. Naziri is saying that, of course, the position of Roma is not the same as in the entire Kosovo, and the problem with Roma didn't start after the war of Kosovo, but way before the war. Va.
Kova si je, kao dujto, a džive naj konik një qëro buqi, pala egzode romego, pogrom, kaj se maj buqë se shol të hepin dhe mile Roma tradime pe qërendar, taj si bishte 7.000 qëra pabarde, a kana lopevi i puve romenjit të biqë lope.
He said that unfortunately no one is dealing with the exodus of the or the deportation of Roma. More than 150,000 Roma fled Kosovo, and more than 24,000 houses were burned, and no one is actually dealing or tackling with this issue.
A gjeve sa me totalno hasërdesu që pozicija romenjit se visi kë Kosovo të pozicija romenjit se visi vrall anë diaspora na jek.
And of course, we see that Roma are not united both in Kosovo, but also in diaspora, they are not united.
So se kalama nu shake si avral, unë të që hasër dekret, ma da bitu me gjëna vloga që kolati që visaren ko tek o kanal sa vakti marimasko, sa se bud pare.
And of course, acknowledging the hardship that Roma that remained in Kosovo was quite hard in comparison to those that decided to leave.
Dikao ke tu që bu samo ko që repe një ma gjithë që as Kosovo, nego që Kosovo, a Marceli va që lasa Kosovi.
He also recognized that my neutrality towards the name of Kosovo, because I choose to say Kosovo, not Kosova or Kosovo, whereas Mr. Kurtiade used to say Kosovi.
Kosovia,
okay.
Ciro, tu lo c'è, sa ciro referat su pendano diversa lo c'è, venida mai buta međunarodna Roma che libernim politički romen, a na Kosovo su se si aver elementora, ali ipak putem u parlamentu Só manglem que te Dublin gujite janin kisi precaution shote pina norma mini penal katar manje shkalia gibcia si saroma. Ront manje roma.
He once again wanted to recognize the situation of Roma in Kosovo, wishing for a better political representation, highlighting that people should deal with those that whose houses and lands were remained as unsold. And he also mentioned the fact that Roma, Ashkali, and Egyptians, in his eyes, are actually one community that belong to one. You're one nation, and you already know. Oh, Sasta. Oh, Sasta. Oh, Sasta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naziri. Now I see the other man from the Kosovo, Mr. Orhan Galius. He has raised his hand, so we will give him the floor. Mr. Galius, the floor is yours.
I hope he will not judge me now on my perception on how I explain things.
Orhan, the floor is
Younger
yours.
generation is different.
Okay. Thank
we
you very
go.
much for giving me floor. I have a comment, and I believe that this comment it's going to be very, very serious for you in India. Ambassador Sachdeva, please listen to my words. First of all, congratulations that your organization has made this conference. Why? India still did not recognize Kosovo.
Yeah.
Right? So my idea was always, as you know, Ambassador Sachdeva and Zameer and Chairperson and all you there, as I was last time in India, and I was just speaking like that we today cover the Kosovo issue. You know very well that if Roma are not treated so good, one day might happen a social explosion at least. The second issue, I'm very shocked. I'm very, how to say, unpleasantly surprised that this organization that works with us for many years, and as well a relation Roma in India from the time of Indira Gandhi, has been flourished. But now is the time that your organization and India in general has to think in the way. When happened Kosovo war, and as you see which kind of destruction is, you see that we have no real political partner with India to cover those issues. Those issues to cover means life, the people life in the countries where Roma are living. I have idea before a few weeks what will happen with Roma in Palestine, what happened with Roma in Israel, what happened with Roma today in Iran. It looks like it's forbidden we to talk about it. And you know, we are coming with this conference extraordinary, really extraordinary. I'm happy that my cousin is speaking. We are one blood, one family. And we, Galush, we know somehow to make happen that our voice can be heard. Let me answer in some questions that was during the during this conference. The lady was asking about the Marcel Cortiade archive. You might know that I have an organization called Eurasian Roma Academic Network. We were talking with INALCO how those works of Marcel Cortiade could be in one place and organized in a World Roma Library. And I'm going on, I'm speaking with Aurora and others, how to make that a rich thing to be available for Romani people, for Romani scholars, and so on. And then I'm very emotional when I saw the lady Sahiti and my brother Neziri. They are coming exactly from the heart of Kosovska Mitrovica or Mitrovica Kosovos. The Radnička issue. The Radnička issue is exactly Palestine and Israel. I de facto, these words that I'm saying, I can de facto make, how say to you, visible. You know, it is incredible. The whole street went out and they demolished. Who started demolition of the Radnička? International organization with a domestic. Why UNHCR didn't react on the negative selection of the people? How many Roma were in the planes leaving to US and other European countries? This conference is very good inspiration, even political inspiration, with to continue to work. I believe that ARSP is not only making conference. That's why, Ambassador Sachdeva, I'm asking you, let's turn the page. Let's India be behind supporting us, because you and Zameer and others, Zameer especially, he knows that I'm calling him on the midnight and asking him what we'll do with the Roma between Palestine and Israel. They are calling me. And while was war in Kosovo, me as a journalist, with other members of the Galushi family, we try somehow to get a voice. But how we can do it if we don't have support? Do you remember when Christiane Amanpour, she was reporting from the center of the Pristina and saying Albanians are leaving their houses, but Roma are looting the Albanian houses. Can you imagine how many victims has been, you know, made then by Albanians or whoever? And please, you might understand from my voice my angriness, but my angriness is not hate. My angriness is concern to those issues that we together we have to do. You are the only country, you are the only organization that makes this kind of a dialogue with us, and we have to implement from the dialogue to those activities that Roma can be helped. So my side is going locally from this conference. At the moment I'm in Prizren, in my father's house. I'm happy here. I'm going to drink coffee with Albanians and other guys, Serbians even, or Bosnian as they say. And we are smiling. They talk to me in English and Serbian, and I talk to them in Albanian. This is the richness that we Roma we can do. We can be players in this dangerous time. But without your support, we can, the things can get much more longer than ever. Kosovo, Prizren was the core point for the world Roma emancipation in Yugoslavia. Prizren has always intellectuals, or somebody says intelligence. We have this. We have first radio television programs. This is how I grow up. And now other members of the families, they're extremely active, and I'm proud of. So my last issue is to have exactly, look, I have a problem how I can work with India if I'm Kosovar. Because India did not recognize the state. And I do understand the issue of Kashmir and so on and so on. But we have to find a way, mechanisms, how we can make things possible, how we can bring the truth. You see today how Edis was speaking, this is Edis' truth. But you know, when you come to the public truth, so there has to be a partnership to working on the truth. So I see, unfortunately, that the political personalities of Romani political parties, they still didn't become a very strong partner to the government. In Kosovo, we drive as before 50 years, for example. We were trying, you know, from Kosovo, we had even Roma who were simply a worker, simple worker, but he was active, making possible things. Today, there is a lot of things that has to be done. And, well, you should come. Ambassador Sachdeva, please come to Kosovo. You can see many good things that they can politically inspire, work with Roma in other countries, and as well in India. excuse me for this very long comment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Oran and Mr. Naziri, for your comments, and Mr. Oran for your suggestions. We have taken note of them, and let's see what is in store in future. But as you know that we are always there to support our Roma brothers and sisters wherever they are, without worrying about the boundaries where they exist. Yes, we had a lecture series on the situation of Roma in Ukraine during this the ongoing problems there, the war over there. So we, since being a non-governmental organizations, we take note of such things, and we bring these aspects to the notice of the decision makers in India. So thank you very much for participation by everyone. And we look forward to your participation in our future monthly lectures also. We are very happy that so many of you joined in the presentation and asked questions and gave their views. This really helps us in and encourages us to do more of such activities in future. So do send your suggestions on topics to be taken up in future, as well as your suggestions on our newsletter, which we publish every month. Thank you very much. With this, I close the meeting, and namaskar and bye-bye.
Namaskar.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.